Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Miller. Thank you for coming in. We've had a lot of ongoing discussions, but what I wanted to cover today was the insurance piece of it. So what I wanted to do was start with the automobile insurance that you currently have. After reviewing your coverage on the two vehicles, the one that you lease and the one that you own, it looks like what you're currently carrying is sufficient for what you're trying to accomplish. But there were a few things I wanted to mention there. One, I felt the deductibles were relatively low, so you could definitely benefit from increasing the deductibles, and that would help free up some of the positive cash flow that you're going to need to meet some of your other goals. And the reason this makes sense is because if you'd have $250 deductible and something happens and you get in an accident, you can easily cover that out of pocket, and you almost wouldn't even want to report that to your insurance company because it's such a minute amount that you better off be paying out of pocket instead of increasing your rate by putting that accident on your coverage. So I would definitely try to increase your deductible to at least $500, if not even $1,000. And again, that will decrease your monthly payment and enhance your free cash flow. A similar thing with your homeowner's insurance. Again, I would make sure that you at least do $1,000 deductible, if something on that, because again, you could pay out of pocket to cover anything less than that. Right now, you're currently meeting the 80% co-insurance requirement, which is very important. So that is good, and we definitely want to make sure that we had that covered. So I ran the calculations for you on that, and you currently have 84% coverage. I would recommend getting a schedule personal property endorsement because your home insurance does cover some for jewelry. It's about $1,500 on most policies of jewelry theft. But knowing that you have quite a bit more than that, as well as some collectibles in the house, I would definitely recommend, again, getting that scheduled personal property endorsement, which will help cover some of these other items. And again, collectibles are somewhat covered, but not up to the full extent of Ken's baseball card collection that I know you'd want protected as well. Then the next thing is, I just wanted to make sure that Uncle Joe's had enough insurance. I'm not exactly sure what you've done so far, but I wanted to bring a few things to your attention. One would be a business owner's policy, which is designed for very small companies to benefit them. And what it also includes is business interruption insurance. So if anything were to happen, there'd be 12 months of income that would still go in if they had to be shut down for a covered property event. And it covers any hard assets and would help cover the building, all that sort of thing. And along with that, I would recommend getting business umbrella insurance because of the nature that you're in, owning a bar and that sort of thing. This would cover some of the excess liability by any negligent acts of the employees, and especially being in a bar scene. I think that you're higher risk to some of these things by nature. So what you can do is you can get a commercial pack policy, or a CPP for short. And what it does is it actually combines some of these different pieces of the insurance policy and gives you a little bit of a discount. So this is something that we would definitely want to look into for you. Dental coverage I think is great. You're covered there through Susan's work. Vision, I would definitely think about taking advantage of if that's available through Susan's work as well. Even if your family doesn't really have a history of needing that, as you get older, those are things that you might want to consider. With cataracts and glaucoma and everything else as you get into the older age. And then we looked at the health insurance. So Susan's employer covers the family under a group health plan. It looks to be sufficient coverage. The maximum out-of-pocket expense is $2,500 a year. It looks like it's a major medical plan with co-insurance of 80/20 and with that maximum out-of-pocket feature, which is great. Ken might want to think about actually doing an HSA through his portion of that. That would allow you to save with pre-tax dollars for a portion of the medical expenses, and any dollars he doesn't use would you could actually grow those dollars in the market and so forth. And hopefully this would be a way that if you really did want to retire at 62, you could build some dollars for health savings that you could use in the future there. So that was kind of my mindset when I was talking about that. Obviously, we should spend some more time discussing that, and I definitely wouldn't put the kids on an HSA. Being young and having a family and so forth. Life happens, as we know. So I wouldn't do the whole family on that, but that is something that Ken might want to consider for his portion of the medical expenses. And he spent a lot of time in depth talking about the flex spending account. And Susan, one of your main concerns was that you didn't want more money coming out of your paycheck. But when we're looking at the goals and we're looking at increasing your cash flow, this is something that you pay for anyway on a monthly basis. So why not get the tax benefit for you? The other thing is, by reducing the taxes, that's just more money in the bottom line for you. Again, I understand that there's more coming out of your monthly paycheck, and you already have a lot coming out. But to take advantage of, not to take advantage of that, to me, would be kind of crazy. You definitely want to take advantage of that tax benefit and that tax savings there. Next thing was disability insurance. So both carry own occupation, which is the strongest form and the most inclusive form of disability insurance, which is important. So that was one of the first things that I considered. And Susan's policy considers 65 or pay, but Ken, your policy only considers about 35% of your current income. So Ken, we definitely want to explore the benefit and the cost to increasing your disability insurance to make sure that you're fully covered there. I know you have a manager over there at Uncle Joe's, but we may want to increase that coverage for you as well, to make sure that you're getting a salary out of the business and to make sure that everything's covered with the business. And again, even though you have a manager, you still want to make sure that you're able to keep a keen interest on such a heavy investment for you, especially since it's going to affect your retirement. The next and final thing that we looked at in the insurance for you was the life insurance. So you've made it clear that you want to have enough life insurance to take care of the children if something were to happen to you unforeseen or early. So what we did was we looked at funeral costs, being about $20,000 for each of you. And then so we ran this for each Susan and Ken. And then dependent living expenses, we calculated as $480,000. And what we did there was took an average salary of the two of you and basically cut it in half, because you wouldn't need all those expenses if something were to happen to each of you, because obviously your consumption would go down because you're no longer around there. So what we did is we came up with $30,000, and then we multiplied that by 16 years, which is the number of years until Bethany was 18. So that's how we came up with that number. Then we ran, obviously, on the retirement needs analysis, which we've discussed. We came up with $185,317, and again, those calculations are included in the statement here. Then for the college fund, we came up with $129,568, and because of the liabilities that are out there, including the home and the cars and the loans, between the loan and the lease and so forth, to make sure that those needs are met, we're looking at $109,000 and $109,836 to be exact. And I'm sorry, the lease was not included in that, but the liability on the house and the liability on the one car is where we came up with those numbers. So total needs per person, we came up with $924,000. And then currently Susan has a little bit through her employer of $50,000. She has an accidental and dismemberment policy as well, but that wouldn't cover her if she died because of illness or something like that. So we want to make sure that she's covered there as well. So we're recommending that she needs about $900,000, and I ran a quote for you as you'll see here. And then Ken, you currently have a $150,000 whole life policy. That will obviously cover you some, but we recommend that you need about another $800,000, and I ran a quote for you there as well. So thank you for your time today. If you really have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out to me. Thank you both, Mrs. and Mrs. Miller, and I look forward to working with you.